Haga v'hine klalos in Rosh Chodesh yesh lahavin al pi hakdama achas. Now, in a comment, the general concept of the first of the month, you can understand according to one preface. Hine chodashim nisan minisan maninan. Now, we count the month starting from Nisan as the first. That the Torah calls Nisan, this month for you is the first one. And Tishrei, that Rosh Hashanah is in, is called the seventh month. And it needs to be understood, since the first of Tishrei is Rosh Hashanah, Imkein Hu Rosh Gam L'Shish Chodashim Sheminisan Shachar Vad Elul. If so, it's the first one, including the month of Nisan until Elul. So that should be the first one. It's the beginning of the year. V'yidua Perush Rosh, and it's known the concept of the head. Shekol El Chayos Kol Yud Beis Rashi Chodashim, that within Rosh Hashanah is included the life force of all the 12 months. And since this is so, how is Nisan, that comes after Tishrei, how is it called the first month? And the concept is now in the philosophical book of Jewish wisdom called the Akedah, he explains, and this is what he says, that just like the existence of nature is a testimony to the truth of his existence may be blessed, like the pasuk says, lift up your eyes and see who created all these. And just like nature says it, so too his destruction of nature, and breaking the laws and breaking the nature of the world, will also at times proclaim the greatness of the name of his honor, of his kingship, and so forth. And it's about this second concept that it says about Nisan, that this month for you is the first of the months, in Yitzias Mitzrayim, which is the going out of Egypt. Shaya ben Nisan, that was in Nisan, al yidei osos umofsim, through signs and wonders, muflaim, wondrous things, baharisas hatavachulu, specifically in the breaking of the natural order. Yain Shamlok over there in the Akedah. So it's then understood the difference between Tishrei, in which the world was created, Shua Bechina Rishona, which is the first concept, Lihios Olam Kimin Noheg, that Tishrei is to have the world conduct itself as normal. Ubinisan Hayatzias Mitzrayim. And in Nisan, when you had the going out of Egypt, so that's the second concept in recognizing Hashem's greatness. That's the miraculous breaking of nature. That at times you'll have signs and wonders in the changing of nature, like going out of Egypt. And it's known, this that it says in the Ten Commandments, it begins with, I took you out of Egypt, and it doesn't say that I created the heavens and the earth. Right? I am the Lord your God who took you out of Egypt. Because the concept of going out of Egypt, to go out of the boundaries and limitations, that's higher than the creation of the world. Nothing, something from nothing. The creation of the world itself is only from the kingship, a name or a glimmer alone. But this is that I myself truly command you today. The concept of Anochi is higher than this. Not just the glimmer, but the breaking of the nature from the concept of beyond, the concept of Nisan as opposed to Tishrei. And the concept is Kihini Shorish Bez Bechinos Hanal, Mivuar Baharamaz Parshas Beshalach, Bedaf Nundal Ramadalaf Al Pasakaz Yashin Moshe. Now the Ramaz in Zohar explains the root of these two concepts, in the paragraph that starts all miracles and all strengths from Hashem. And this is the quote from him, from the Ramaz, that we can understand this, that the Rav says, meaning the Arizal, that there's two types of supernal unions above. One of them is in the concept of the external union, that the external lower level of union never stops, that it does not need feminine waters from below to awaken the state. And this constant supernal union is what keeps the worlds going. And in it establishes the nature that's imprinted on the existences. And the heavens and the earth have not changed their way of doing things. Look what it says in Biaor Hazor in Chassidus on Vayera, on the verse that she's also my sister, the daughter of my father. That's the concept of Yichud Ava. That's the union. There's two unions of Abba and Ima, of Chochmah and Bina. There's the external one, and there's the Pnimius, and that's referring to this as well. Vazivug Hasheni, and the second union, Zivug Pnimius, this is the inner union. Shezet Tzarich Lahalos Mayin Nutfin. That this is what's needed for the elevation of the feminine waters to awaken from above, La'aba Ve'ima, to the mother and father, Va'ava Ve'ima La'arich, Kenodim Esod Kriya Shema, and the mother and the father to Arich, as is known with the secret of Kriya Shema, that it's a union of Abba and Ima, Pnimi. That in order to awaken a higher union, you have to have the Halas Mayin Nukvin. You have to awaken from below this union from Arich, from a higher place. Then you draw down to the masculine and the feminine, the drop from above. But this is not constant, and it's all has to do with what the time is. When is this? Is it Shabbos? Is it Yom Tov? But the highest one, the greatest one, is when you draw down from Atik, as is known. And then you'll renew in this world a new conduct. And that's the doing of miracles that rule over the nature. That's the end of the quote. So this is all l'chora from the Ramaz. And so he also makes the distinction between a higher level and a lower level with the conduct of nature and the miraculous beyond nature. Look what it says about this in Shir Hashirim on to the smell of your oils. And on the verse, and lift up a flag or a high place, and the concept of explaining the concept of miracles, and I guess within nature. Rosh Chodesh hu hamshacha pnimis. So it's found then that Rosh Chodesh is the inner flow. Shahare inyan Rosh Chodesh maschil mitzias Mitzrayim, because that specifically has to do with going out of Egypt, because the Rosh Chodeshim start from Nisan. So all the Rosh Chodeshim then are more shaykh, are more connected to the concept of the breaking of nature. That's the concept of the conduct, that's the new conduct from a new flow that rules over nature. And with this you can understand the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yossi, the Rabbi Yossi says, Yehi chelki megomre halal b'chol yom. I should be given I should have my portion with those who finish the halal every day. But that's not so. You can't do that. Amar Mar, the master says, that somebody who reads halal every day, really they're ridiculing and making fun. But what's it referring to? Saying Psuki de Zimra. And it needs to be understood, why would reading halal every day being making fun and ridiculing instead of praising? We can say, keep Psuki de Zimra nitkenu al hashevach shalab bechina harishon, that the verses of praise we say every day, they were established upon the praise of the first concept. Masha mechadish b'chol yom ma'aseh b'reishis, this that the works of creation are every day constantly renewed. Lios olam kimin hago noheg, to have the world conduct itself as usual. But the reading of the halal is established on the second concept, on the miracles. That's the concept that's not the likeness of the way of the world. Like the splitting of the sea, the going out of Egypt, and the splitting of the sea and the like. Therefore, you can't say it every day, because it's not something that happens every day. Look at the Peirush Rashi, it's that it's like making fun, that every day is the way of the world, it's not miraculous. And the second concept is only at times and special parts and times of the year. That's why we say it specifically the 3 holidays, and on Chanukah, and so too the minhag is to say it on Rosh Chodesh. And like we're explaining here, it makes sense why halal specifically would be on Rosh Chodesh as well, since it refers to this second concept. Find me'inyan ze b'shalab Masechet Tamid daf resh nun zayin amud aleph shevi ma shekasuv taf resh yud al ze ma shekasuv hu zal b'zeh. Look what it says over there. I'm not sure. And the way we've explained it here is more proper. So with this, we can answer that even though in Tishrei is Rosh Hashanah Shabo Nivra HaOlam, in which the world was created. Im kol zeh Nisan hu rishon lechodshei hashana. Nonetheless, Nisan is the first of the months of the year. Because the life force that's drawn down on Rosh Hashanah is just to fulfill the worlds, to keep them going. And according to what the Hagos Maimonides says in the Rambam in the laws of Tshuva, and this is what it says, but the Ramban writes, and this is what the Ramban says, that on Rosh Hashanah a person is only judged for matters of this world. And this that it says to life and to death is not only referring to the days, how long a person lives alone, but all of the difficulties and punishments in this world, sicknesses and death of children, and poverty, and the like. So all of these is under the category of death. And they call the reward and all the good things you get as life. So that's the end of the quote from the Ramban within the Hagos Maimonides. And I guess that's the end of the quote from the Hagos Maimonides as well. So that's all Rosh Hashanah. It's the main point of the quote from the Hagos Maimonides is that the Rosh Hashanah is physical matters, not the spiritual, the regular life, things that happen to you, how long you live, and all the good things, and the other things that happen. But the inner flow that rules over the externals, that's the concept of Pesach and the going out of Egypt. And this is the first of Nisan, is also Rosh Hashanah to the Regalim. It's the beginning of the year for the holidays. Because that's the concept of the three legs, the three holidays that hint to the concept of travel. He said the concept of travel means the downward traveling, so to speak, of the light, the flow downwards. Like it says in the verse, if you will go in my ways, and in the Maamar, I will give you travelers amongst those standards. Because the flow, just to keep the world going, on this it says, because he commanded and they were created. And he had them stand forever. And those who serve him, they are all standing. But the inner flow, that's called the travel, not standing. So the creation is called Vayamidem La'ad, he stood them. But the inner flow, that's called travel, not just standing in place. The concept of movement, of going, is a euphemism for a union. Like derech gever be'alma, I guess. Ubid Torah b'dibur ha'maschil asis nisborsh b'rosh Hashanah gam ki nischadshus nishmas adam harishon. And Likutei Torah, it explains that Rosh Hashanah is a renewal of the neshama of Adam Harishon shu'amshacha pnimis. So there it says that you have an inner flow. Bishlomar, we can say, Rosh Hashanah, That's why it says about Rosh Hashanah b'chodesh hashvi be'echad l'chodesh, that in the 7th month of the 1st of the month. So that also implies that it's not only the Rosh Hashanah, it's also the 1st of the month. That Rosh Chodesh is included within it. The inner flow of Rosh Hashanah is, so to speak, the Rosh Chodesh part of it. Vishvi Chaviv Yosef. But the 7th is more precious, more dear. Moshe Kasuv, Berabos, and more Pasha Chavtes. L'chei Nemar, Gamkein, Tiku B'chodesh Shofar. So I guess there's of course also something special about the concept of that it's the 7th one. And therefore it says, blow the shofar in the month, B'chodesh Tafka, specifically in the month. Why does it say, it doesn't say blow the shofar of Rosh Hashanah. It says it in the Chodesh, because the Chodesh part of Rosh Hashanah is the Hamshacha Pnimis part of it. Ki ha-shofar hu Hamshacha Pnimis ma Abba ve'imo ma'atik. Because that's the shofar, is a Hamshacha Pnimis. It's an inner flow from the partsuf of the mother and the father, and from Atik. And that's what's drawn down and enclosed in the concept of the Chodesh, or Chadash, which is the drawing down of the inner light. I'm sorry, of the new light from Rosh Hashanah. Not the Tmidis, not the constant, but the new one. Meaning to say the one that's higher, that's Leprakim Uluzman, the particular one that's connected to Rosh Chodesh, which is the newer inner Hamshacha. Al kol panim lamad nosha enyin Rosh Chodesh zehu al hischachus Hamshacha dezivug pnimis. So at any rate, we've learned that the concept of Rosh Chodesh is a renewal of an inner union and flow. Which is higher than the external union to enliven the worlds. So too it says in Zohar Achrei. And this is what it says. Amar Rabbi Shimon says, it says, on each month in its month, and each Shabbos in its Shabbos, the pasuk says. So why is this one equated with that one, the Chodesh and the Shabbos? Ela kol achad, but rather they are all one. Darga sliku da is davik b'da, that the level that goes up, one unites with the other. V'chadvas de da b'da lo ishtekach ela kad isgali atika kedisha chulu. And the union of one with the other is not found until the holy Atik is revealed. Ufachi b'chadatusi desira. So too with the renewal of the month. So the renewal of the month is similarly a hamshacha from Atik, it says, and a zivug, a union, just like Shabbos, that they have the same level drawing down from Atik. And then the Zohar continues, that on the Chodesh, similar to Shabbos. But what happens in the Chodesh? The sun shines to the moon, meaning there's a new month. The new moon, with joy, the Nihiru de Atika, with the light of Atik, the Leila above. This is the end of the quote from the Zohar Kadosh Nachre. And Hari Muvuar, so it's clear then, the Bechinas Or Shemesh Havaya, Mir B'Rosh Chodesh, L'Knesses Yisrael, that the light of the sun of Shem Havaya that shines on Rosh Chodesh to the souls of Israel, who Hanikra Sira, that the souls of Israel are compared to the moon, where the light of the sun is Shemesh Havaya. Hamshacha Zuba Ma'atik, so this flow comes from Atik, like the Ramaz brings in Bishalach, that the concept beyond nature is Rosh Chodesh, draws down from Atik. And look what it says also in Bishalach. on the verse, why should you cry out to me? Ba'atik Atalia, that the Zohar HaKadosh says that this is dependent upon Atik. So don't depend on lower levels of revelation. That since the splitting the sea is to change the sea to dry land, which is the opposite of the normal order of the gradative process of creation. So in order to cause the splitting of the sea, you have to draw down an awesome flow. Higher than the order of creation. Or flows, that this, like it says in Torah or B'Shalach, that he is exalted upon exalted, that it says there that this is from the concept of the master of wonders, meaning to say higher than wonders itself, the master of the wonders, who does wonder, meaning to say that the Pele and the Ose are equalized. That to that level, the wonder is like an action, which is the lowest level. And that's the concept of that this is dependent upon Atik. So if that's the case with Kriyas Yamsuf, similarly we can say the shining of Atik that shines on Rosh Chodesh, that to the concept of this, the sun, which is like the name of Havaya, to shine to the moon. And that's why the moon is called the Levana. It's a language of whiteness. Which is not the case. The sun, which is red, like the Gemara says in the Mishnah about the language of that it's like the Chama, but it's found like a Levana. That meaning to say, it's translated, it's like the sun, but it's found like the moon. But it also means that it was red, but it was found to be white. That the Chama is red and the moon is white. And what is this whiteness of the moon? That's like the concept that you find the idea of beauty in women specifically through the glimmer of the crown of Keser into Malchus. So to the concept of my beloved is tzach and red. What is tzach? Tzach ainu lovan. So it's white and red. That through the moon, that's how you draw down the concept of the crown, the light of Atik, specifically in the moon, the Chodesh. Not in Zah itself, but which I guess, Zah itself could be the days of the week. But the concept of Malchus, which is the idea of Rosh Chodesh, or Shabbos, the 7th, which is the moon, which is Malchus. Like it says, Matza Isha Matza Tov, that if you find, like it says, if you found a woman, you found good. Tivud Atika, what is this referring to? That the concept of the woman is the feminine aspect, the concept of Malchus, the good is, and the concept of good is the Tivud Atika, the good that refers to Atik, like we'll explain. With all this, you can understand the concept of tomorrow is the month and you'll be remembered. And therefore our sages said, Amar reads, Rabbi Yitzchak, Lo hayat tzarich lahaskil ela hachodesh hazeh lachem, that, and the comment on why does the Torah start from Beraishis, it didn't have to start from Beraishis. It could have just started from, this is the new month for you. That could be the beginning of the whole Torah, because that's the whole concept, the drawing down from Atik. And the Beraishis is a lower level. And that's the understanding of, that's how we can understand the statement that we say in Kiddush Levana. If Israel only merited to receive the countenance of their Father in heaven once a month, that would be enough. Hakbil Pnei Avim, Pnei Dafka, the countenance specifically. The Pnei means the Pnimius, the inner. That we would be enough to get this revelation of the inner once a month. And that's the concept of the gate to the inner courtyard. It says that it will open on Shabbos. This is in the Nevuah of Yechezkel about the third base of Mikdash. It says that there's a gate that will be closed, but it'll open, the gate to the inner courtyard of the Mikdash. It'll open on Shabbos, and it'll open on Rosh Chodesh. That's the concept of the gate that faces east, that faces the inner. Dugmas Bikriyas Yamsuf, and that's similar to, by the splitting of the sea, it says Ruach Kadim, there was a eastern wind. The concept of the word kedem also means the supernal or higher or beginning, from the beginning one of the world. Like it says in another place. Which is not the case with the idol worshippers, who count their year in accordance with the sun. They only receive from the external union. And even though it doesn't have changes, like the sun. But it's only from the external. So, but to the kings of the idol worshippers, they count from Tishrei. We count for them from Tishrei. It's Rosh Hashanah l'Malachim, I guess. But to the kings of Israel, they're counting. They count from Nisan. Since it's written B'chodesh Ziv, Hu HaChodesh HaSheni, that it says the month of Ziv. So it talks about in the building of the Mikdash. It talks about Shlomo HaMelech, and it says there Chodesh Ziv. That's the second month. Limloch Shlomo Chulu. That to Shlomo's beginning of his reign. Meaning to say, Chodesh Ziv is a Mar Cheshvan. So no, I guess Ziv would then be Iyar. I seem to remember in the Meforshim it says it's Mar Cheshvan, but it seems to imply here that Chodesh Ziv is actually Iyar. Because for Shlomo HaMelech, we would count from Nisan. But the inner union is drawn from above the concept of the sun, beyond the sun. That is from the light of Atik. That shines to the sun. That's specifically through the moon. Like we said, if you found a woman, you found good, which is the good is the concept of Atik. So too through the concept of the sun shining to the moon, which feels that the moon receives for this Meir Tivudatika Bishimsha. Shines the goodness of Atik to the sun. Because of Malchus, because of the moon, so to speak, you have the Hamshacha from Atik to the sun, the concept of the sun. And as is known with the concept of the crown that his mother crowned him on the day of his wedding specifically. the meaning to say that the husband, the chassan, is like Zah, and his mother crowns him on the day of his wedding, meaning to say because of the bride, so he gets a higher hamshacha, a crown from above, from his mother, so to speak, with the concept of from bina. The gam kinyan bina yisera nitna beisha, so too like the concept of that an extra understanding is given to the woman. An extra bina al derech sh'al yedei adibun in tosef haseichel, so meaning to say that she has an extra hamshacha from higher. And similar to the concept of speech, the concept of speech is also like malchus. That through actually speaking in tosef haseichel, you get an extra addition of intellect to actually speaking a concept. Like also the concept of the students are the receivers, the feminine aspect. And you learn more from teaching the students more than anyone. That's why women guard Rosh Chodesh more than men. For them, it's more of a holiday than for men. Like it says in Pirkei Rabbi Eliezer, and they're also compared to the moon, that they go up and down, that they have days of purity and days of impurity, and they have a concept of a new purity every month. And as well as the concept of the woman of valor is the crown of her husband. Meir Nehiru Datik, that through this shines the light of Atik. That's what it means. She's the crown that she draws down from Atik. So it's found then that this that we count in accordance with the moon is drawn through this from the concept of that which is higher than the sun. And that's the meaning of the verse as well, that there's nothing new under the sun. Because in order to draw down a new light, you have to draw down from the essence of the infinite light, which is higher than the concept of the sun. So too, the toil in Torah is above the sun. It's similar to the concept of the moon that draws down from higher than the sun. That I guess the Malchus corresponds with Torah Shabbal Peh in general. V'hini Rosh Chodeshu inyanam shachas or chadash. Now the new month is drawing down a new light. And that's why this root of this flow is higher than the concept of the sun. And that's the concept of that says, bring an atonement for me, upon me. It says alai kapara, alai dafka, meaning to say higher than the concept of zah. Al derech v'tispalel chana al havaya, like it says, Chana davened upon havaya, meaning to say drawing down from higher to shem havaya. That in general the concept of Shem Havaya is Ziran Bin. And Chana is also the concept of Malchus. And she draws down beyond the concept of Dibur, of davening, is like Malchus going up. And draws down from beyond into Zah. Like it says in Zohar Achrei previously. Shemesh meir ha'ara, that the sun shines a glimmer. Od shemesh lashon tashmish, so too the concept of the sun, the word shemesh also is a language of union. Kasher ba al Bathsheba kasher shamish, that the translation of that David came upon Bathsheba is that he was shamish her. So the word shamish is a union, it's a concept of union. That's why it compares the sun in Tehillim to a groom who comes out of the wedding canopy. And that's an essential flow and not just a glimmer. And that's the union of the sun and the moon. On Rosh Chodesh, it's a new flow, a new union, an inner union. And similarly, in Yosef's dream, Yaakov and Rachel are called the sun and the moon. And that's the concept of the vilon, the concept of the firmament, that's called vilon. There's different rakim, and one of them is vilon, the curtain. I guess like a wedding canopy or something. That the sun has come asa shimsha. I'm not sure what asa shimsha teaches us. And this is the greatness of this, that the moon rules over night time. Because the sun has come. He slept because the sun came down. That the word ba is like the concept of bia, I guess. That the sun coming down is the union of the day and the night time. Because the moon rules at night, so if the sun goes down, it goes into the nighttime. It's like the day uniting with the nighttime. Bamidbar kuf yud ches perish yud beis chodashim yud beis osios demilo yadnai. Now the Ramaz explains that the 12 months are the 12 combinations. I'm sorry, the 12 letters that fill the name Adnai if you spell it out. Imkein hamshacha bam yud beis tzirufei avaya. So that's the letters themselves, or the months. So, but the hamshacha is from the 12 combinations of the name Avaya. Yud beis osios milu Adnai, to the 12 letters that fill Adnai, because it's known that each one of the different months corresponds with a different combination of the letters of Hashem's name, of Yud Kei Vav Kei. So that's also a union of Avaya and Adnai. It's a concept of a union, and it's called to teach them, but it also is Lashon Harion Ve'ibur, a language of pregnancy, insemination and pregnancy. Because I'm not written the same way I'm read. The Shem Hashem is called Adnai, but it's written Havaya. That's a union of the two names. But the birth will be in the time to come. And that's until David became great. So they cried, David and Yehonathan, upon each other until David became greater. That's hinting to La'asi Lavo, until when David will become the greater one. Al-Derech, similar to Es Tzemach David Abdecha, like the concept of that David, your servant, should flower in La'asi Lavo. Mehira Satzmiach, quickly. Because it's brought in Psikta, Huva Ba'aruch Erech Chamesh, Shitzias Mitzrayim Aidei Pei Aleph Pei de Menatzbach. That the going out of Egypt was from the Pei of Menatzbach. Pakod Bakarati. Ulasi level Aidei Tzadik. But in the time to come, it'll be through the Tzadik of Menatzbach. Ish Tzemachulu. So by Yitzias Mitzrayim it says Pakad, is from Pei, and the time to come is from Tzemach. Es Tzemach David Abdecha. Hainu ki apekida imi yoso yichud urak inyan heryon ve'ibur. Because the concept of the remembering of the month is only, yes, it's a union, but it's only a insemination and pregnancy. But the birth will be when Mashiach comes. And that's the concept of the flowering of David. This is what we say and ask, that David should flower your servant quickly. And that's until David becomes great. Vini Mashikosu Li'il Osei Perish Vayom Yehonathan Lashon Matana. Now this that we said, that Yehonathan is the language of a gift. So we can say it in a different way. So we can explain the concept of Yehonathan giving to David in a different way. That the Yehonathan, because the concept of the moon that receives from the sun is called the union of the sun and the moon. And we'll stop there.